If you don't know exactly who you're serving, you're inevitably serving no one. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is to come up with your business, product, or service idea first, and then try to fit a customer into that mold. I personally have had businesses fail in the past, and I've seen countless others fail in the past due to this exact reason, so please learn from my mistakes and define your target market the right way. Now, the overall goal of defining your target market is to get to know your customer on a deep and personal level. That way you can cater your products or services to meet their needs, which will lead to high quality customers who are advocates for your brand. So here's a really quick overview of what we're gonna cover in this video. We're gonna start by talking about what a target market is and what it is not. Then we'll cover how to create what I call a customer outline to initially define your target customer. And then at the end of the video, I'll include a bonus tip to really help tie everything together. Now, this is part one of a two-part video. In part two, we're gonna get a little bit deeper and refine our target market even better using data, even if you don't have any existing customer data. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that second video. So now we need to define what a target market is and what it is not, because it's often confused. So your target market is not necessarily everybody who would ever buy from you. It's simply your ideal customer. If you make the mistake of thinking that your target market is everyone who could ever possibly purchase from you, you'll inevitably make your target market too broad and say something like, my target market is everyone, or my target market are men ages 25 to 65 who like golf. Both of these are way too broad, and they'll lead to you making the mistake of serving no one, like previously mentioned. Instead, you need to focus on your ideal customer. This is the person who is a dead ringer for your product or service. They will be the most valuable with the least amount of hassle. For instance, you might want to think twice about making your target market Karen. Yes, I would like to speak to a manager. Instead, your target market are the people who feel like your product or service was made for them, because it was, and they therefore have a sense of belonging, almost like a tribe mentality when they engage with your product or brand or others who follow you. All right, so now the question is, how do you find who this person is? So step number one is to create a basic outline of your target customer through two common terms that you'll hear in the industry: demographics and psychographics. Now, there's nothing wrong with demographics, but I personally like to really focus on psychographics because I believe that they ultimately are what lead to buying decisions. So your demographics are going to be basic things like age, income, gender, religion, that kind of thing. Whereas psychographics are going to be more things like fears, beliefs, aspirations, and goals. I also like to kind of think of it as demographics are more quantitative data and psychographics are more qualitative data. Now, like I said before, while demographics certainly play a role in marketing and they definitely do influence psychographics, I would argue that psychographics ultimately are responsible for buying decisions. For instance, how many people bought a mask during the pandemic because they were afraid of the virus? Essentially, what we're going to be creating is a customer avatar or persona, but I like to take it one step further and actually start with someone that you know personally. Now, I know this might sound weird, but the biggest mistake that people make, other than making their target market too broad, is failing to personify their target customer. So people will get super detailed about things like demographics, but fail to really relate to and get to know their target customer. So even if your eventual target customer isn't someone that you actually know personally, you need to get to know them on a personal level as if you did. For instance, my target customer for this channel actually started out with my barber. Well, that is back when I used to cut my hair. So he's a young entrepreneur who has high quality service, enjoys joking around with his friends, and of course could use high quality marketing information. But he's busy, so he doesn't have the time to sit down and watch a 30-minute video on marketing. He wants the information quickly and concisely. Now, that's not my entire customer avatar, but that at least gives you an idea of some of the things to include. If you guys would like to use the free customer avatar template that I'm using in this video, check the link in the description to download it for yourself. Now, whether you use my template or not, you want to make sure that you list your target customers' frustrations, fears, wants, and aspirations. This goes back to the psychographics that we mentioned before. Now, when you're making this list, you want to specifically look at how your product or service can help your target customer to negate their frustrations, calm their fears, grant their wants, and achieve their aspirations. Okay, so now for the bonus tip that I promised at the beginning of the video. So it's at this point that you want to look retrospectively at the customer avatar that you've created so far. You need to ask yourself two questions. Is this a person that I want to serve? And is this a person that I should serve? So to answer that first question, if you don't really want to serve your target customer, then you're probably going to be disconnected from them, and that'll eventually lead to burnout. Additionally, I would argue that this prohibits you from being genuine with your target market. And to answer the second question, just because you have a good target market that you care about serving doesn't necessarily mean that you should serve them. Generally speaking, there are two things that are required for a quality target customer, and those things are the ability to buy and the desire to buy. So let me give you an example using Xbox. Let's say that I tried to take the Xbox and market it to baby boomers. Most of them would have the ability to buy, but most of them would not have the desire or the willingness to purchase because they either wouldn't understand the product or wouldn't care enough about it to purchase it. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, let's say that I try to market the Xbox to 12-year-olds, which I just found out is called Gen Alpha. This person is highly likely to understand and want the product, so they'll have the willingness to purchase, but most 12-year-olds do not have a full-time income and therefore would probably not have the ability to purchase. So make sure after you initially define your target market that you ask yourself these two questions, and if the answer to either of those questions makes you think twice about your target market, you may need to go back to the drawing board.